Thanks. I have to move the mic a little bit lower than from where Gary had it. Um, I feel very blessed to be able to respond in a situation like this. Haiti is a beautiful place. Haiti is a tragic place. And it was a situation where, despite actually, I was on call that day. I went in to see Dr. Schamberger, and I said, Bob, I just have to go. I have some skills that they can use. I'm on this team. I can't pass on this one. And to his credit, Craig Lillahide took my call, having received a phone call from me from the Moakley building while I was struggling to get my passport renewed, which, by the way, they did in 40 minutes. And even though they said they couldn't. And I didn't even arrive with a picture. They took my photograph with the camera they had and got me a passport and patted me on the back and zoomed me right through just so we could make the plane, make the spot in Wilmington to hop on a plane. And my colleagues who covered for me, as you might imagine, it's tough to just leave your surgical practice on 4 hours notice and come back 2 weeks later. If you have several days, I could tell you just a part of the stories that that I have and things that will stay with me forever. Amazingly lovely people who are suffering badly and will continue to suffer badly as time rolls along. People with no water, no food, 90 to 95 degree heat, living in sheets supported by sticks. And this was the nice part of town. This wasn't shantytown. This was the part of town where people had jobs, families, cars, futures, all now gone. I'm not sure how Haiti is going to recover. I know they will. It's going to be a long, hard road for them. And just a side point, there were things about this experience for me that I was very lucky to have, being a member of an organized team. There were several people who responded out of the kindness of their hearts who were not part of an organized team that struggled. This can be done better internationally, and I would hope that Children's can help lead the way in the reworking of surgical responses to things like this to improve things in the future for those people who hear that calling and want to head off. There was one resource that we had. We tended to be the recipients of really sick babies and patients that, like the University Hospital, ran out of oxygen completely. So we would receive patients from them who needed oxygen, and oftentimes as they arrived, they were in pretty bad shape. One of the ways that we were able to do some of the things that we did was because we had people like Shannon Manzi, who is an amazing pharmacist. I think she's actually a physician in disguise who actually claims to be a pharmacist so she doesn't have to take call. Click on these? Okay. Oh, there's Shannon right there. I'm not sure what you're doing there, Shannon.
We'll get yours, then we'll come back.
Okay. So there, we were. I was going to slide you. We were fortunate enough to have a photographer from the Boston Globe with us, and these are her photographs of people literally hauling a car for scrap. Shannon, this young man, was the team mascot because he refused to be put onto the ground, and so this was Shannon's turn at holding him. Some portion of Port-au-Prince. Oh, the other way? Okay. Getting the cue from the front. This was the photographer's favorite photograph, and this child has a crooked mouth, and his arm isn't held up in a cheer. His arm is held up because he's having a spasm from tetanus. This is a child with neonatal tetanus, and not quite sure what would happen because he was born at home living in the dirt. There were a number of people from different hospitals through the Boston area, and the doctors get the press, and we get an interview on this and that. The real unsung heroes are the cops and the firefighters and Dave Kisson, a respiratory therapist from, he lives about 30 miles outside of Portland, Maine, who showed me how to bag a baby. That we had to bag a baby for 20 hours because our ventilator wasn't working properly. before the child could be flown out. And I was very honored that Dave wouldn't let anyone other than he and I bag this child. We did shifts through the night. As I mentioned, Haiti is a beautiful place. It's sad when you realize that this, about 30 miles to the east, would be the Dominican Republic and would be a jungle. They have deforested their part of the island to make charcoal to cook their food. And when the rains come, the soil goes. And there are the people of the dust in the Central Highlands who live next to white, dusty roads. And on a prior trip, when these patients would be intubated for their procedure, for their cleft lip or palate repair on a trip I did with John Mara, we at first thought they had pneumonia, because when the tube, endotracheal tube went in, white material came out, and we thought it was pneumonia, but it turned out it was dust, that their inside of their bodies were filled with this white dust from living directly on a dusty roadway. This is the reservoir that supplies the power for Port-au-Prince, that form the basis of the work that Paul Farmer does on the people who are dislocated from their farms when this reservoir went in. This is a Boston cop who is remarkably, that's right, he's a cop and a nurse and a fascinating guy, as crude as you would expect a cop would be. And with great stories, walking around the camp through the day holding that little boy who screamed when he was put down. Amazingly to me, despite living in sheets held up by sticks and with the area in the foreground being basically raw sewage that was running down the hillside, the kids kept playing as if nothing had happened. Dina, the photographer, knew I'd be impressed by this picture with the brown liquid. This one was pouring through a strainer, and she reassured me that it was actually coffee. The power and force of the United States, a monstrous transport with a Haitian mother and her child. And I told Dina she missed this shot because just on the right was an adorable weathered woman in a pink outfit with a pink silk head wrap that looked just totally dwarfed by the enormity of the machine that she was sitting in to transport her off the island. We'll go with that one pretty quick. Shannon, I'm going to leave some of these for you. You know these.